Adama, Nayang, Ikodi, Nko Nayang, Kana kule de. Audanse, Ntogoko Coleman. My name is Coleman. Welcome to another episode of Basic Bambara, a project from Ankata, my initiative to create media and resources for speaking and learning Mandang. Are you new here? Then think about subscribing. In this episode, I'm going to cover orders and commands, or what linguists typically call imperatives. Specifically, I'm going to cover three things. First, we'll talk about singular imperatives that are in the affirmative, things like go in English. Then we'll talk about negative affirmatives to one person, something that would sound like don't go in English. And then finally, we'll cover how to use imperatives with multiple people, both affirmatively and negatively. Does this video go a little bit too fast? Do you wish that you had some extra materials for practice? Well, there's a link down in the description below that can give you access to a text, audio flashcards, and interactive exercises for each and every video in the Basic Bambara series. Otherwise, Ankata! Expressing an order is very straightforward. The verb itself will undergo no changes whatsoever. So, if you want to use a verb intransitively, that means without a direct object, all you need to do is use the verb itself as the entire sentence or imperative. So, for instance, if there was a kid who was hanging out in your courtyard visiting you, and then they were playing with one of your things and they broke it, you might look at them and say, ta, meaning go. Or if you were out and about on the town with a friend and you guys got into a little bit of trouble and you needed to make a quick getaway outside of the club, you might look at your friend and say, bully, meaning run. Note there, you've done the exact same thing. You've taken the verb, bully, and you've used it as its own command just by putting it into a sentence. On the other hand, if you'd like to use a verb that is transitive, that means one that has a direct object, the verb will remain unchanged, but you're going to need to put the direct object in front of the verb. So imagine, for instance, that you wanted a child to be polite to somebody else. You might tell them, che korobafu, meaning greet the elder man, or more literally, elder man, che koroba, fu, greet. Che koroba fu. Or if you realize how helpless you are while you're learning a new language and navigating a new culture, you might look at someone and say, ndeme, meaning help me, or literally, mi, help, deme, ndeme. To use imperatives negatively, you only need to add one word, kana, which is going to be the negative imperative predicate marker, or auxiliary, and it also is sometimes called the prohibitive predicate marker, or auxiliary. We'll talk about that in a future episode, hopefully. For now, what you need to know is that kana will go before everything else, just like in the examples that we saw earlier. So for instance, if you wanted to say something like don't go, you would say kanata, meaning don't go. Kanata. If your imperative has a direct object, things will still be the exact same. All you're going to do is add kana to the beginning of the sentence. So imagine, for instance, that I wanted to encourage you to get better at Bambara. I might say something to you like kana tubabukan fo, meaning don't speak French, or literally, kana, do not, tubabukan, French, fo, speak. Kana tubabukan fo.
Kana keni perdi, kana keni, par exemple, musonyini walba mogo faga walba keni do kana woke.
When addressing multiple people, things get slightly more complicated. The verb is going to remain unchanged, but we're going to have to add two words to the beginning of our sentence. Those two words are going to be a and ye. So a meaning you all, it's the non-emphatic second person plural pronoun, and then ye. And ye is going to be a special word here just used for plural imperatives. So if we take a sentence like ta, meaning go as a command, and we wanted to use it in the plural with multiple people, we would now say aita, meaning go, but to multiple people. So we have a, meaning you all. Then we have our special function word, ye, and then we have ta. Aita. Note that I've put a high tone mark on the word a. This is to signal that it is distinct from the word a, meaning he, she, or it, which is a low tone word. In normal writings, you might see them written interchangeably without the tone markings. Alternatively, sometimes you can see the high tone version, especially in commands, written a apostrophe. So our sentence then would look like this. Aita. In any case, what's important for you is to be able to recognize all of them in writing. In speaking, they will all sound the exact same. The other thing worth pointing out is that the a, ye of imperatives can frequently sound like one word, especially when spoken at normal or rapid pace. So for instance, the sentence ayeta normally sounds more like aita. In any case, if our sentence is transitive, we're going to follow the exact same pattern. We're going to just add aye to the beginning of our sentence. So for instance, if there were a group of people that denied basic truths and were undermining the structure of your country's democracy, you might look at them and say, "Ai qianfu," meaning say the truth. Literally, aye, so that meaning you all, and then our imperative marker, ye. Then we have jian, meaning truth, and then fo. Ai qianfu. If, on the other hand, you'd like to use a negative imperative with multiple people, there's no special form. You're actually just going to use kana, just like we did when we were addressing one person. So for instance, if we take our example with ta, we would simply say, even when talking to more than one person, kanata, meaning don't go. Kanata. This is also true when we have a transitive usage. So, for instance, if you were addressing the same loony people from before, you could say to them, "Kana mana mana kanfo," meaning don't say nonsense, or literally, we have kana, meaning don't. Then we have mana mana kan, meaning nonsense speech. And then we have fo, to say. Kana mana mana kanfo. Aiwa, okaite. Alright, that's good for now. Did you like this video? Do you wish that there were more resources for learning and speaking African languages on the internet? Nefana, me too. Think about becoming a patron or throwing me a tip. There's a link down in the description below. Aiwa, kamben, auniche.